AI C# video on the Microsoft Agent Framework. Today we're going to look into Azure Functions versus the agents with something they call Durable Agent Framework. Agents in Azure Functions is of course always possible by just an HTTP trigger, but this should make it more simple. And I say it should because while recording this, I ran into a bug with the latest NuGet package that totally didn't work, and I spent a lot of time. But once that was resolved by the team, then it actually was fairly simple to get running. So let me show you. So in order to do this, I have a durable agent framework here and a Hello AI, because I think we will make more videos on this because there's more than just what I'm gonna show today about making them work together and get status back and so on. But for now, we're just gonna make Hello World. In order to do this, we need several new NuGet packages. We of course need the normal two for Azure OpenAI and OpenAI for Agent Framework. We're also gonna need the hosting one for Azure Functions from the Agent Framework, and then we need these doable tasks thingies. I'm unsure if this is needed, but sometimes when I don't include it, it breaks down, so I've included them for the sake. And here there is newer versions than these two, but because they are the buggy ones, I'm down to 1.9, which work. 1.10 should also work. But 1.11 is now unlisted as a NuGet package and are broken. Of course, they will fix it going forward. But if you put these in and you go to your host and add this extensions doable task, then you should be good to go. So what we can do is we can build our normal Azure function setup here, and then we can do our normal agents as here, but then we add this extra one that comes from the Microsoft Agent hosting Azure Functions part, meaning this NuGet package, which is in turn uses these. So this one just simply says, hey, add an agent. And that's my agent I put up here, which is just built like normal. And then we don't really need to do any more. We can have normal functions as well, but we don't really need them because this will just on the fly, like the MCP server that also exists for Azure Functions, just spin up some more endpoints on your Azure function. So if you run it, we will see that we both get it as MCP and we get it as the normal function, but here we have the new thing, which is the agent. So the agent just have a URL like an Azure function have, and it's always post. So I've chosen to go to Insomnia. You could do Postman as well. And you can go in and simply write that URL and then in a body, say message and the message. So if you do that, it will come back to you and tell you the answer. So a normal request response is possible, and we could easily have done this with a HTTP trigger as well. But where it helps a bit in them being durable is that in the header spec we get here, we get actually a thread, which is the conversation thread we are working on. And what we can then do is we can go in and do a follow-up by putting in thread_ID equals the thread. And if we do that, it will actually, I must have done it wrong here. Let me try again. So we get a thread. We try a follow up. Yeah, my mistake was I had a space here. Let's try it again. And now we see that it could take the follow-up question of how tall was he, meaning Mahatma Gandhi. So that is actually everything there is to it. I, again, spent a lot of time because I went to the newest NuGet package. So if we go here, there was a new NuGet package. It's been unlisted. Also, if you have some problems running the Azure functions, that's because it's dependent on a Docker image for the storage emulator. And I put up a console command line that you need to run in order to have the Azure write for storage. But that's more an Azure function thing than the AI thing. Because the new thing is just make an agent, make this simple call, and it's ready to go. You don't need to make your own request response or anything. That is taken care of for you. So Dan, thank you. See you in the next one.